Welcome everybody into your spotlight for running the Rift into the GSL stage, North American Challengers League qualifiers. We were taking a look at Group C here. Already got to see a quick 2-0 from Ole Miss over Pookie Bears. Now we take a look at the other two slated teams here, Morningstar White and Polestar. Two teams who were ranked opposite by the committee going into the Swiss stage and now have been flipped after Morningstar's burst onto the scene. I am Slayer, going to be joined here by the great analytical mind, Quacks. Quacks, how are we feeling about this much tighter matchup on paper?
I'm feeling like Morningstar, sort of bursting onto the stage is a little, or whatever you said, is a little bit of an understatement. I feel like their wins have been really concrete, and I feel like every single game that we've seen them in, especially at the first week of qualifiers, was really convincing. So I think that Polestar have their money cut out for them. But Polestar are not without their strengths. Namely, Kryra is an incredibly proficient and consistent upcoming jungler that a lot of people have had their eyes on since he sort of entered the pro scene. And I hope that this series gets to sort of show everyone why, because when he is online, he stays online, and he is incredibly deadly to play against.
Morningstar already played Polestar as well in Swiss and did beat them. So keep that in mind as we are
Hmm.
going through the draft. This is game one, but we are doing Fearless. So if you see a champion selected by your respective team you're cheering for, or whatever team you are looking at, cannot be played for the rest of the series, which will become unique if we go the distance in this best of three. So far, though, Morningstar prioritizing that flexible Ash pick in the bottom lane, backed up with the Azir scaling, and Polestar going to lock their bottom lane in the Senna TK that we all know very well from these past couple of seasons.
Yep, so it looks like Polestar are really indexing into more of a scaling bot lane, just making sure that they can play safe under their tower. Along with the item changes, the map changes made it very easy for blue side to dive the red side bot tier 1. So being able to draft a comp that can play safe, really deal with some of those more tricky dive scenarios, is definitely on Polestar's list of things to accomplish in this draft, and Senna TK accomplishes that beautifully as Morningstar White going to lock in the Xin Zhao, and Polestar going to respond with the Corki.
Yeah, we're just railing out meta picks for game number one here so far. Corki,
Hmm.
Azir, Xin Zhao, Ash, Senna TK could be put in that making as well. And I know a lot of people at home watching are like, yes, Corki Azir. Gotta watch it again. It's like the Oriana Syndra of last year, or Oriana Azir as well, actually just cycling those control mages. That's the new bread and butter here for season 14. We will start to see some top lane heavy prio bans, though. Will be intriguing as Polestar Morningstar haven't drafted exactly identical. I'm curious to see if Polestar will throw any sort of AD bans out of the way. Maybe a pairing that they don't like against Ash. Could see a Varus potentially be one of those, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, usually you would see Ash and Senna be together, but they're on opposite sides of the teams this time around. Gwen going to be taken away from Morningstar White, just denying that AP threat in the top lane. Morningstar White going to respond with another jungle ban, putting that Vi away. I'm honestly a little surprised that Morningstar White went for the Vi ban. Usually you can stop that Vi ultimate from just eating whoever she ults. So it's a little bit of a curious ban, but Polestar, please, I'm a Kryra fanboy when it comes to the Evelyn. Don't taunt me like this, Polestar, please.
I mean, they do need some AP, and they're going to actually go for the Zac, which I've seen go top. I don't know if that's in Cozy's kit. Uh, it's I'm hearing it's Cryo's pocket pick. So I mean that makes sense. So Cryer will likely be on this Zac here. And a lot of jungle bans, like you talked about, still not going to phase Morningstar. I'm curious what they're going to do for Yushin as well, with how much top lane prio he's got. A lot of bruisers and just damage dealers taken off the cards for him. Rakan will be locked in for Pika Pika, and they're going to go hyper
Ooh.
aggressive if they lock this in. The top lane, Yone will be slammed. An immediate answer for Cozy, looking like the Renekton slugfest in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, Renekton is really good, I think, at sort of allowing your team to pick up the pieces after being engaged on. A really good counter engage champion that can sort of halt a team at the front door with that stun and that dominus being so threatening to start off every single fight. So this is a top lane matchup that we're going to have to be looking a lot at, right? Both of these top laners are sort of in that carry boat together. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is the main focus for both of these junglers. And I think in Kryer's case, it's pretty obvious that you want to make sure Cozy is, and no pun intended, as cozy as possible in this laning phase going into that mid to late game.
Wax, I don't know if it's new tech here, and this is a joke. It's not. Kryra, we definitely need to swap into Smite here. We do have 4 teleports currently going on. Really hope we don't load into game with that, because I don't know what bag of chaos that will open up. But I'm just gonna keep pretending like it's gonna get switched here. And yeah, I mean, it's an interesting spot for Soul, because you talk about, Yone is up there. And obviously want to try and get him ahead, but Senna TK can be very heavily punished in the early game where they're very, very weak, especially on the red side, like you talk about, as the smite has not been. Oh, okay, all right. Maybe Kryra's playing on the edge of summoners, so he has smite now. Well, that's how the game. Regardless, though, Quacks, it is very interesting because, obviously we talked about, especially when you and I did the last game with Pookie Bears and Ole Miss, that top side can be heavily prioritized, especially with Grubs, but there's just my point here is Soul has a lot of options to explore in the early game with this Xin Zhao.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Xin Zhao really does spike toward that two item spike, I think is really what you're looking for when you play the Xin Zhao pick. Sorry, I jumbled my words there a little bit. But he also has a lot of early game pressure. Xin Zhao most likely going to go with that lethal tempo keystone. So he has kind of a dual function when it comes to his champion in the current meta. In the early game, you have a lot of dueling power with the wind becomes lightning and the really high attack speed that just comes with the champion. And then late game, you're a little bit more tanky. And I think that late game is really going to be the determining factor for blue side of this game, whether or not that Xin Zhao can eat that damage that will be thrown his way, because he's kind of the only frontliner that you have in this game. The rest of the team is looking to be backline, looking to deal damage. And if they are, like the Yone is a squishy champion who can simply get bursted down. So a lot is riding, I feel, on this Xin pick, and playing it correctly and setting up for it is going to be the number one goal.
And if this game does go long, you obviously like Polestar's range. They're going to have Senna scaled up. A Corki can match a lot of what Zero's going to try and do with zoning, especially with his build path, could do an absurd amount of damage on top of that. So they're going to have a lot of spacing. They're going to have some peel abilities. Zach can do that just as well as Engage. And you talked about it. Renekton thrives most when he can get jumped on, get some damage dropped on him, turn it around with that Dominus. So Polestar, you got to like where their 5v5 is at. But to be honest, it's kind of a good 5v5 for either side. These fights are going to be pretty bombastic.
I also think that playing team fights is going to be really important for Polestar, because on one hand you have a lot of engage with a champion like Zac, who literally their whole kit is designed to go in, and then you have champions like Senna and other things that want to poke out, that want to get in range. So I think not only how you're fighting is going to be important, but where you're taking these fights, specifically in choke points where Zac can hit and interrupt as many people as humanly possible with that ultimate and with that initial knock up on the E. So definitely looking for them to fight in choke points, but also simply to be on the same page when they do start up those fights.
And Kryra obviously very, very efficient on the Zac. And Zac, as much as people like to talk about him because of his elastic slingshot, can't set up for gank pass, I think it could be very well utilized also for counter ganking. We talked about the fact that
Hmm.
you could see some dives coming bot side. He can elastic slingshot from pretty far away, most likely off vision, to try and turn some of these fights when they come. So, it's what you expect from Polestar, right? The headlining name is going to be Kryra. A lot of people are very high on Enthralled as well, but this is the superstar that people are touting as a future LCS prospect that is just on the up and up. So gotta watch for him to play through here as we do get onto Summoner's Rift. A bit of a stack up coming across from Polestar. Looks like they might try and catch somebody from Morningstar White just over aggressing, going for a ward here if they get it.
Yeah, I mean, Morningstar, it looks like they're just content with staying in this bush, though. They have no desire to try and walk up for this, because that would certainly be a kill for the side of Polestar. Yeah, I think that they're just going to start getting their resets off here. Just a 5-point defense, basically, is what Morningstar have started up with. But Kryra, most likely going to start up on that top side with the Raptors. This is another champion that can start that Raptor camp and really deny trackability in the early game. And on a champion like Zac, where his weakest trait is that early game, clearing that first time around, being able to not necessarily be zoned off your camp is incredibly important.
Super viable here, as Reppy might actually get caught trying to get a ward down here. That's Ghost Pop from AH. Certainly has the damage on this Ashe AD carry. One more auto will do it, and Reppy does fall. Flash down as well. A disastrous start for the Polestar mid laner.
Yup, Flash burned and now TP, and that is the power of Ashe, ladies and gentlemen, with those auto attacks just constantly slowing. And I feel like it doesn't even get worse. I said, I feel like it gets worse for Polestar here, as now you can see Soul on that top side is going to take away those Raptors and just go to the top side himself. So he is taking away these camps from Zac, utilizing that weak early game that the champion has and making the best with it.
Also utilizing the fact that Yushin is going to have some decent push, at least as well, can shove the wave, so there wouldn't really be an answer. Now, we're just going to get vertical jungling here. Will allow for Kryra to try and set up a gank path if he wants to dive onto AH and Pika Pika, who I would assume would have some sort of push here, but once again, the problem with Tahm Kench and Senna early game is the kill pressure in that lane is very, very low.
Yep, and you can see Kryra spotted on a ward here, and now the bot lane from MSW has the chance to maybe float on up there, depending on the wave state. Yeah, it's slow pushing into the side of Polestar, so if they just shove this, it completely denies Kryra from taking any of those camps. And you can see he's roaming back up. He's got nothing to take, and he has to walk all the way to the blue side jungle of Morningstar White. This Zac pick suffering in the early game. Yeah, oh no, don't do it to him, Soul.
And Soul's looking to track him. He's going to try and cut him off here. Likes his odds in a 1v1. Has a camp lead. And Soul is just mirroring Kryra so well here. He's waiting for this jump in. Reppy is out of mana, and Soul's just going to go in. Reppy has Summoner List. Kryra, though, does get a double knockup, and Hitty is already dead. Reppy gets the kill there, and despite the fact Soul has tracked Kryra so well, he gets his mid laner back into the game.
Yeah, good gank there from Kryra, but I feel like Soul should have been the one to engage that fight. You know that Reppy doesn't have flash. You know that he just W'd forward. This is a golden opportunity to get the mid laner of Polestar super low and without a summoner and get him super behind. But it just felt like he was waiting for that engage from the Zac when he didn't necessarily need to.
Bit of a misstep. Still will be able to get a sizable CS lead here, as he actually will jump on his top side camps. But Kryra doesn't really care about camps. Oh, no. Zac is all about ganking. Very low health Cozy, though. Flash away from Yushin, trying to get the trade, but it's another great CC chain from Kryra. He'll pick up the kill this time, already leaving his imprint on this series.
And CS be damned, we are going straight for ganking, making our impact on the lane. Kryra has been so present on the map these past couple of minutes, going mid straight into the top lane. And now as his reward, he will be able to be gifted with a full quadrant of camps to take. Finally, the tyranny of Soul going into his jungle is over.
And all the while, not too much pressure on this bottom lane. Enthralled in a B, able to get a good push in as well. Crashes sizable wave, and they'll be able to reset fine. And the name of the game with Senna TK is just survive and scale. They don't need to do too much, so the fact that Kryra has gotten leads on the top side of the map just bodes well for the overall ideal of this comp from draft if you are Polestar.
Yep. Interestingly enough, though, we're 5 minutes into the game and neither jungler has taken a reset. You can see Kryra is starting to channel his, but Soul still has not upgraded his items, and they're actually just going to go straight up onto the dragon. Prio favors their ability to do this, and Kryra isn't around the map to contest. So yeah, free dragon coming in from Morningstar White.
Soul may have, scored a couple of these gank opportunities and popping up to counter the ganks, but he's doing a fantastic job on the camps and trying to pick up as many neutrals as he can. Kryra is here now. Maybe looking for an elastic slingshot. He has that passive, he wants it. Here comes the death from below here of a B. Doesn't get the knockup, but they have Soul pinched on the other side. He's going to dash over towards his Krugs to save himself. Flash was down. What a play from Soul just to keep himself alive.
Yeah, good escape there from Soul. And now Kryra going to take a chunk out of his health as AH is just free firing. But he has his team to back him up.
He flashes with a knockup chain. Abyssal Dive does get one flash away. It comes across for Pika Pika under his turret, but now they're trapped and cut off here. Could they think about a redive of your Polestar? They're not. They're just going to take the summoners and back off as Kryra just continues to assault this Morningstar white team.
Yeah, sadly, they didn't have a wave in a position to go for that dive, and they also knew that Hati was roaming on down with the Azir, so good look there from Polestar. I really, really appreciate that every single chance they get, they're looking to fight. They're looking to skirmish and just overall get a lead here in the early game. But sadly, not all skirmishes are possible. But now, there might be another skirmish here as Void Grubs have been started up by MSW.
Yep, Cozy's on a reset. He can teleport back in, but not much movement from Kryra. Just trying to desperately catch up on camps here. Repi will get a shove, but that will be 3 Void Grubs going the way of Soul. He's got first Drake and 3 Void Grubs in his hands. Can't say you've seen much junglers get away with that at this level and in this GSL so far, so hats off.
Yeah, Morningstar White, despite the kill deficit, have managed to get themselves a decent amount of objective control, which has equalized the gold slightly to a neutral state. They are slightly up, about 300 to 200 gold. But yeah, the game sort of going back to a quiet state. You can see Soul has the ability to just path on down toward that bot lane. Looks like junglers have the potential to meet down there for a potential 3v3 in about a minute here, but until then, it's all quiet on the western front.
Even gold lead as well. I mean, it is deadlocked right now. CS leads helping out a lot of Morningstar as well, despite being down in the kill count. And like we talked about, a lot of these lanes are kind of okay, just handshaking, scaling. The one where you'd maybe like to get a little more pressure is Cozy. Yone can become such a threat as a split pusher and a team fighter. So hold on, we might have a catch on to Kryra here. 2v2 coming out. Repti gets a big missile in. There's the Crescent Guard out. Soul trying to block as much damage as possible. Good Emperor's Divide from Hitty. Creates some distance, but Kryra looking to go in for more here, waiting for those cooldowns. Slow onto Soul. No flash, no ult. He's dead. Repti grabs it. In goes the Rakan. Pika Pika. No knockup though. Trying to get back out. Kryra doesn't get the elastic slingshot knockup. But a great turn in response here from Polestar to advance their lead.
Yeah, I feel like Soul might have underestimated the speed at which the bot lane from Polestar could move up toward that play. And without flash, he gets just completely caught with his pants down and pays the price for it as he returns to his bot side. No objective on the map, so it doesn't look like Polestar are going to be able to use that pick to any sort of meaningful advantage, but gold is gold.
Fights are fights here. Cozy, good dodge there as well in the Fate Seal. Yuxin still likes his odds though going forward. Cozy still popping. Dominance flashes forward for big damage. Yuxin has to immediately match it with a flash of his own as the top laners start to brawl.
Yep, absolutely. Lots of skirmishing in the top lane. I have to say, I'm really surprised at the lack of jungle presence here in this top lane. We talked about it in draft, how important and volatile this Yone versus Renekton matchup was. And yet it feels like it's just been a typical top lane's dream, just a 1v1 island.
We got a 3v2 bottom lane. Finally, this TK getting punished. A B flashes, though, gets him with the Crystal Arrow. Dawning Shadow buys some time.
Here
comes Kryra, jumping for AH. Gets another good route into the Abyssal Dive. A triple knockup. Sink him down, Kryra. What a combination. And out the turret comes out. Enthralled, free firing. Pika Pika and Soul. They're out of summoners. They're out of ways out. A B gets another kill. Pika Pika, another route. Another CC chain from Kryra. And they're not stopping. 3 kills to Polestar in the bottom lane turnaround.
Kryra showing up for that counter jungle. You said this was what he needed to do on the Zac pick Slayer, and he is pulling these counter ganks to perfection. Kryra is on the map. This Zac is such a threat. And Morningstar White, every single play they go for is met by him.
And it's just going to get worse. Senna's been allowed to free scale, get some kills under her belt. This farming TK is going to become a tank that is going to be very difficult to shred. Kryra as well, going towards that tanky Zac. So you've already got a big frontline problem with a Corki and Senna that will be able to back the damage from distance.
Absolutely. And now the Dragon being started by Polestar. Soul on the top side, so no contest even possible. But here comes Reppy with the package.
Oh my god. Reppy, so much damage. Age shut down below 25% HP. Pika's healing will save him, but he'll create enough distance that Kryra can even out the Drake stacking.
And I think that Reppy on this Corki is kind of a champion we haven't really touched on in this game. How impactful this character is going to be as the game goes on. Corki with Malignant as a beat somehow killed AH.
Between the turrets. I mean, it's just knock-up city with those two. I don't need to see what happened to know that once you let a TK and a Zac start rolling quacks, that's what's going to happen on repeat for AH.
Yeah, absolutely. So much crowd control is coming out from this Polestar squad. As now Soul trying to get a little bit back as he saw Kryra on the bot side, which means free reign to get the next 3 Void Grubs. So it does deny the Void Might spawning for the Polestar squad. But you haven't really been able to push up these last few minutes as Morningstar White. So how impactful is this buff really going to be before plates drop in about 2 minutes here?
They do have all 6 on Morningstar White, so they will have the push ability, but like you mentioned,
they do.
Not going to be able to get too much onto those plates, it seems like, with the waves in the state that they are, and the fact the bottom and mid lane pretty far ahead. Yushin may be able to utilize that. As bottom lane, we get another skirmish. Oh boy, Pika's devoured, thrown way far away from AH, and Kryra is just going to zone off the Ashe to make sure it's another kill. This one going to Enthralled, and Senna and TK, they've arrived early to the party.
Yeah, I mean, Polestar just continuing to advance their lead even further. Now 3k gold up, 13 minutes into the game. It feels like every time Morningstar White want to make a play, they just are randomly outnumbered. Polestar are always ready, hands on the triggers.
Soul likes his odds, but Kressigar can only protect him for so long. It's another good Abyssal Dive knockup and an overcalculation from Soul. He'll fall, a 3rd kill to a B, and Kryra and Enthralled, they might be at it again here. They're going to bring up the wave, and already Pika and AH, the Morningstar bottom lane, have to back off and respect this Zac.
Yeah, they're completely zoned off of their tower. Now they can see that Kryra is moving back up toward that Tribush, so it does give them a little bit more wiggle room. But the bot lane of this Morningstar White squad has been pressured so much in this game. Killed between towers before plates even drop. That is absolutely miserable to play through. And it's just all off the back of Kryra being present in this bot lane all the time this game, not letting his foot off the gas once.
Like we talked about, you know, getting 6 Void Mites is nice, but we're going to look across these lanes, Quacks, and none of them are really crashing the turret, and there the plates go. So a lot of that gold not going to be able to be utilized by the Grubs, but still have the possibility to get first turret. But that's a still if. You just need, there's nobody hitting the turrets right now for Morningstar White to capitalize just yet.
Yeah, but now that plates have dropped, that gold advantage for Morningstar White with the Void Mites, like you mentioned, Slayer, has been mitigated. They had 14 minutes to take as many plates as possible, but now that window has closed. They're going for the Herald, though. They have priority to do so. All the members of Morningstar White have floated up there. And yeah, just one more objective added to the list, but the question is, what can they do with it?
Looks like with all that overload, Polestar might actually be the ones that could claim first turret here. The Enthralled Company could get a shove in. Yushin might actually have a potential dive opportunity coming across here. Soul and Pika are here. They're going to drop the Herald. Cozy
moving up.
Teleport coming across here. Immediate dominance pop. Good charm for Pika. They're trying to get the CC chain across, but Cozy just won't die. He's still alive and kicking. Finally will fall, but it might cost them everything. Kryra and Reppy are here. The turret falls. Huge dream. A shuffle comes across, though, from Hitty. A double comes across for the Corki, but now Kryra's all alone. Hitty might have saved this play for Morningstar White. The passive comes out of Kryra, but the shutdown is going to come through as Shelly wants in on the action herself.
Yup, and good job there from Hitty. It looked like a bit of a scuffed dive off the side of Morningstar White, but the Azir manages to save it, get the tower, and get a double kill. But we're not done with the fights yet.
Yeah, being enthralled may have pushed too far, but good Abyssal dive with the Devour. That's why TK is Senna's best partner in crime, and they get out of a hairy situation.
Yep, and you can see Hitty moving up. They still want to try and get the bot lane of Polestar, but I don't think they're going to be able to. So yeah, all in all, Morningstar White managed to get a turret and some kills, but not able to really transition that into meaningful vision as just more plays keep on happening toward the bot side. They were forced to basically back up right as that play ended because another play had just begun. And now with the dragon spawning and being taken by Kryra, looks like we might have another fight on our hands.
But a lot of vision, and a package comes across. Reppy catches Soul, immediately flashes. No Crescent Guard means Reppy kills him. Great pick, and that basically is going to lock in the first Ocean Drake in the hands of Polestar.
Yep, good pick there. Managed to get Soul, but we're fighting. We're not done.
No turret means Yushin likes his odds against Cozy, especially with Pika Pika showing up. Easy charm, easy knockup. That is a breezy play for Pika's Rakan, and Yushin now starting to accelerate to get some sort of pressure alleviation for Morningstar White.
Yep, but Dragon going to be taken away. Yushin on this top side, so it is going to force one member, at least I would imagine, from Polestar to answer this Yone. But it seems like they're taking their time with that. Yushin may be able to push in another wave, but now a B and Enthralled are moving up.
Good hawk shot there from AH. Just make sure that Yushin knows he has to back off. You saw immediately when a B got spotted out by the vision, he backs off. He knows they are caught trying to go for a play here. Ooh. Enthralled, though, just passes right by Pika, ignores him. They both ignore each other. I've never seen somebody ignore a Senna in melee range, but you learn something new every day, Quacks.
I mean, yeah, they're passing by, you know? It doesn't have to be a violent game. We choose to kill the enemy.
Surely it's not just imprinted in the game that we play, though. I mean,
surely. I didn't make the rules.
That's true. I didn't either, so I'll let Pika be, but if he keeps doing that all game long, Enthralled is going to be deleting people. Up to 61 stacks as well, so third evolution on that range for everybody keeping track at home.
Yep, and a little bit of a standoff from both junglers as they sort of suspect that the other is in the bush. In the case of Cryer, he knew that Soul was in that bush, but not really going to be able to do anything about it as this game just is sort of continuing its pace as a slow burn. Occasionally, or probably more than occasionally, someone will die, but it feels like both teams, for all of their efforts, for all of the picks that they have gotten, have not really been able to get anything super meaningful. It feels like we are just fighting for the sake of fighting. Haven't really fought around objectives. Most objectives have simply been either traded or given up by the opposing team.
Yeah, and that just means that those fights around the objectives are going to be more and more important. And both teams have pick potential, right? We still have a Crystallized Arrow. AH has that big stun tool to set up Pika Pika's CC. If they want to go for picks with that, Fate Sealed as well. Yushin can jump over huge bounds of distance, and then obviously we've seen how Kryra can jump forward with the Zac Reppy with the package.
Literally.
Porky. Yeah, literally, right? And then Senna's range, Dawning Shadow, TK can come out of nowhere. There's so many possibilities for picks along with fighting with both of these teams that we're just going to see it get more and more hectic as Morningstar White, they try to set up a death brush, but Kryra jumps the right way. Reppy also going to stay safe, though. Flashes down.
Yup, Reppy manages to get out of the ambush that Morningstar White were laying for him. But now, Polestar, they want more. They do not want to let that go unpunished.
Pika Pika, no flash, no ult here, and they trap Yushin, doesn't let him out with the Fate Sealed. Crescent Guard down, doing a lot of biding time for Soul, but Yushin is the target. Enthralled free firing, there is one big lash to the tongue for a kill. A B gets one, a B for a double, it's Reppy to find it, and right as Baron hits the rift, 2 kills for Polestar. What timing!
Yeah, that was almost cinematic, the fact that right as he died, the Baron animation went through, and Polestar is saying, yes, please, that is awfully convenient, but Cozy...
Oh, wow, is popped, and AH is just caught here. Without has Flash and Ghost up, but doesn't like his odds getting away from Cozy. great pick again. And Polestar are really pulling the reins here on this game one. They'll have Baron to themselves as well.
Yep, absolutely. And now Hitty on the bot side being met by Cozy, but the other lanes you can see they're pushing in, trying to break these tier 1 towers. It was a slow burn into the early game, but now Baron acquired. Polestar are going full throttle, trying to push their lead with this buff.
It's important to mention they're not going to fall off anytime soon. Like, what, maybe the Renekton quacks, like Cozy will have issues, but it's a Senna and Corki. So,
yeah,
this game just gets harder and harder for Morningstar White if they can't find these avenues into pick plays around maybe the Arrow, this Rakan, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but Cozy, sure, he falls off in damage, but this is one tanky Renekton. You can see he's already itemizing 4 tank stats as well, has the Warden's Mail in inventory, so he's acknowledging that his champion will eventually fall off and be resorting to a stun/frontline bot. And yeah, good recognition there from Cozy in terms of build path.
Marker of a great team that's looking to get through the GSL stage, and getting on Enthralled is still going to be difficult. Devour, such a good bailout for a Senna, and with how tanky a B has gotten, 4-0-3 by the way on this farming TK. Good luck burning through him before the gray health even comes across.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the usual answer to a champion like Tahm Kench is someone who can break shields like the Renekton, but what happens when the Renekton and the Tahm Kench are on the same team? It makes it so difficult to get through this front line, especially with AH on this Ashe being so unbelievably far behind and squishy.
Pika Pika looking for a flank angle. They're looking to collapse into this 4v4 here. Yushin backing now. They want to contest for this Drake. Gets his back canceled. So 4-on-4 on the cards. Good turret set up by Hitty. Just going to keep applying the pressure as both these teams have their eyes set on this next Ocean Drake.
Yeah, but I mean, Morningstar White, it really feels difficult to go for a fight like this. Your top laner doesn't have TP. Meanwhile, Cozy does. So if a fight does break out, that is always available for Polestar. And yeah, it just looks like they know they can't go for this fight. They know they're down in terms of damage and gold, and their top laner doesn't have TP. The best they can do, though, is push down this mid. They have the Void Mites, so they use them to their advantage.
Now they do get a free inner, but I think Polestar are fine giving that up for Soul Point. That arrow just whiffing. Cozy might have fallen there, so good response here from Morningstar. They do end up taking it in down 2 inners, despite the fact that Baron's on the other side. They are going to come out on top in the turret equation.
Yeah, I mean, good recognition there from Morningstar White, realizing you can't take the fight and just utilizing what objectives you do have to try and get a lead. Cozy, unfortunately, not able to cancel the back there.
Just a small little, what does it really mean, right? I mean, you look across the board here, we talked about, he's here to be a tank bot, CC, soak up damage, because behind him, a missile barrage from a 6-2 Corki, has 3 items, by the way. The Malignance is complete, which is just busted on Corki. And then Senna, if we could get a stat check as well on her, up to 2 items at 80. So that's the 4th phase of range on Senna, which will become even more deadly, as I assume Enthralled will now build towards a rapid fire cannon. I would assume that's just such a bread butter.
Most likely. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of want to go back to what you were saying as, hang on, don't hold that thought.
Going in. Too far forward in the mid lane, going to get punished, but Soul likes his odds against the Corki until the Dawning Shadow just deletes AH, and that might just seal the play. A B teleports in. Soul and Pika Pika with Yushin. So they might have an angle to try and collapse, but there's just no way they can burn through this TK and Zac without an Ashe.
Yep, and Cryo waiting in the wings in case Morningstar White want to go for an engage. But no engage is going to be had, so they're just going to float on toward this top side of the map, get vision, clear vision out, and yeah, just gain control of this area of the map for themselves.
Baron's still a good ways away, but they're just going to keep the waves pushed up. There's no big objectives to play through here, and they don't want to give any window back in. They respect the fact that Morningstar White, they do have single damage pick potential. And even if there aren't too many great targets for it, you still have to respect that. At the end of the day, this game is in the favor of Polestar, but not out of reach by any means.
No, definitely not. I mean, when you have champions like Yone and Azir, whose champions scale to absolute insanity, there is always the chance for them to get a fight, for them to steal an objective, for them to get any kind of advantage and completely run away with it, as Cozy potentially picked out here by Soul, and now Huddy's in the fight.
Yep, Cozy just trying to buy time. Pika, though, doesn't want to collapse, and no arrow comes across for so it's once again just a wasted overload from Morningstar. They're starting to get desperate, and you can't blame them for it with how this game has gone.
I mean, they really don't have any reliable way to burst through these frontliners. Enthralled.
Oh! That arrow gets enthralled. Devour to answer. Hitty, though, good Emperor Survival. Enthralled gets back out. TP's coming across, and they just can't burn through these tanks. Yusha's going all out and gets enthralled, though. Great fate sealed. They trade the Azir back out, and Reppy is starting to free fire here. You just can't burn through this Polestar front line, and you can see how much it's costing Morningstar White. They can't find any of these priority kills, and AH is now left out on the side. Reppy jumps back forward, but Soul has a ton of damage. We'll pick up the kill. One big rocket. AH just can't get close enough for the trade. A B is unstoppable. Morningstar punch first, but Polestars knocks him out.
Yeah, Polestar managed to turn the fight around. What looked like a good pick turned out to be a 3-for-1 in favor of Polestar. Now with the Baron spawning up, Soul being dead for another 20 seconds. It's going to be Polestar claiming the worm for the second time this game.
People here right now for Polestar don't have any damage, so this is going to take a while, but both Enthralled and Reppy are on the way. Yushin without ultimate, without flash. Pika, flash, no ult either. Teleport coming through from Hitty though, but none of these key ultimates are up. They can't do much to get into this pit. They're just biding their time. Soul is back up, but this Baron is getting way too low. They need to look for a window. They do get a B. There's a pick. The Baron is doing so much work. The turn from Morningstar. The patience works out. Can they get the Baron? They do as well. What a play from Hitty and Morningstar. This game is broken wide open.
Not only did they get the Baron and so many picks to go with it, but they denied the Soul from Polestar. Morningstar White, they're saying screw the Dragon, screw that area. We're going straight for the inhibitor. There's about 20 seconds left on the members of Polestar. I don't think they can end, but what a comeback from Morningstar White. They might
disrespect the new Baron, and with mites, they
Oh
might
my
just end
God.
this game.
They're gonna go
from
for
out
it.
of nowhere. Morningstar White might cause an upset. They're onto the Nexus turrets. It's still 10 seconds away from the top side. A B and Enthralled are the only ones left. But the Nexus turrets are down. It's over. One fight blows it. Morningstar steal the first game of the series.
Holy moly, are you sure we're not spectating 100 Thieves over here, Slayer, as a heist in broad daylight, if I've ever seen one? Morningstar White, out of nowhere, they win the first game.
That was unbelievable. I mean, there was no Embers of Eye. There was no Fate Sealed. There wasn't even any quickness, so you nerf a lot of the damage, a lot of the CC from those three players, but it doesn't matter. The Baron just chunking everybody down in the background, and those soldiers doing just enough work from Hitty. And man, one fight can change a game. We know it so well, Quacks, and everybody at home just got reminded with that one.
I mean, we did say it, you and I, Slayer. We said one fight, one opportunity for Morningstar White, and they can maybe make a comeback. We never counted them out. And yeah, they are going all in this series. And yeah, they take game one, and we'll have to wait and see what both of the teams are thinking for game two, because I don't think either team is proud of this first game. I think that there is a lot to be learned and a lot to change, and especially with Fearless, I'm excited for game two.
Morningstar certainly playing the end of that game absent of fear. And now they'll look to push into a 2-0 potentially. What does the response look like from Polestar? We'll see in just a little bit.